When the very first reality television shows hit screens more than 20 years ago, they were innovative and exciting formats that broke new ground. Then, in the rush to replicate that success, TV creators came up with a whole lot of really bad ideas. True trash in every sense of the word. From pretending to be straight when you're gay, to deceiving and exploiting others for financial gain, we've endured some truly shocking reality duds over the years. Andrew Bucklow is news.com.au's esteemed entertainment writer and host of our From the Newsroom podcast. Bucky, trash reality television shows, they're a dime a dozen it seems. What's the cringiest that you've ever come across?
Well, Shannon, I would have to say that would be just Tattoo of Us, which is the show that aired on MTV. It was British. Basically a pair of contestants who could be friends, lovers, family members. They had to go on the show and each design a tattoo for the other person, right? The other person just had to get that tattoo without knowing what it was. And then at the end, they would do the big reveal and find out what the tattoo was. Now, this would always end in tears.
Oh my God.
Do you not wish you got it finished?
For some reason, they always picked horrible tattoos for the person, never nice ones. There were tattoos that included sex acts. There was a tattoo of a woman doing a number 2 on the toilet. A guy even got his face tattooed on his boyfriend's bum, which, as you can imagine, didn't go down very well. So a very cringy TV show.
Mine would have to be Playing It Straight. You look back now and wonder how this was ever made, but I guess it was a different time.
You've got Danny B.
Yep.
You've got Ben. And you've got Marco.
Yes. At least one of them's gay.
At least one of them's gay. So you got to work it out. And make sure you pick the straight one.
Yep.
Well, I wouldn't want to be you.
How do you even begin to summarise the premise of this garbage show?
Yeah, you're right, Shannon. There's no way this show would get made today. Basically, a woman has to spend time with a group of men, kind of like The Bachelorette. But in this show, some of the men are straight and some of the men are gay. Now, she has dates with each of the men, and her task is to figure out who the gay ones are and vote them out. At the end of the show, she has to pick one man, and if he's straight, they get to share $1 million in prize money. But if she accidentally picks a gay man, he gets to keep all the cash. Terrible show. It actually aired in the US, UK, and Australia in the mid-2000s, but thank God it's not a real show anymore.
In a similarly deceptive vein, and just as horrifying, if not more, there's something about Miriam. This one is just impossible to even imagine now.
Yeah, it really is, Shannon. This was a show from the early 2000s. Basically, it was about 6 men trying to woo a Mexican model named Miriam. But the thing was, they didn't know that Miriam was transgender, and that was only revealed to them in the very final episode.
Beaten Scott to win the heart of Miriam, but he's about to find out that she's been hiding one big secret.
Tom, congratulations. How do you feel?
Yeah, brilliant, fantastic.
Well, in the bay, there's a luxury cruiser waiting for you and Miriam with £10,000. But before you claim the prize, Miriam has something to say.
I was born as a man.
Now, the contestants were so angry about this show that they actually took the producers to court and tried to prevent the show from airing on TV. They settled out of court, so you can imagine that they each pocketed a fair bit of money. The show aired in a few countries around the world, including Australia. And a few people might remember that Miriam was actually one of the contestants on Big Brother Australia back in 2004.
One I would not have survived was the British format Shattered, which is one of the worst examples of torture for entertainment. A £100,000 prize for the contestant who could stay awake the longest. That's it.
Yeah, this was filmed in the UK back in 2004. As you said, 10 contestants were challenged to go without sleep for 7 days. Now, they had to take part in a variety of challenges. Each day, a contestant had to endure a you snooze, you lose challenge. That's where they were placed in environments that tempted them to fall asleep, such as having a facial massage, and they had to battle to stay awake. Now, in the end, the show was won by a 19-year-old woman who stayed awake for, get this, 178 hours. Wow.
Bucky, Who's Your Daddy? Sounds like a lot of fun, but it definitely was not. People put up for adoption as babies, reunited with their biological parents, but only if they can pick them out of a lineup. But it gets worse.
Yeah, it did get worse. Basically, this woman who had been put up for adoption as a kid, she had to meet with 8 different men and then had to figure out which one was her biological dad. Now, if she guessed correctly, she'd get $100,000 in prize money. But if not, if she picked the wrong man, she wouldn't get any money whatsoever.
I want you to know you were conceived in absolute love, and I loved your mother very, very much. There wasn't a day that went by that I didn't think about you and regret what we did.
It was meant to go for 5 episodes, but there was so much outrage in the US, and it actually didn't rate very well at all, so it only lasted 1 episode. But the good news is that the woman did successfully pick the man that was her dad. So she not only got to meet her dad, but got the money as well.
All right, now, if you had to crown the absolute worst, trashiest reality show of all time, what's your pick?
Well, I mean, it's not easy. There's so many trashy shows out there, but taking out the top spot for me would have to be a show called The Swan. 2 seasons of this show aired in the mid-2000s. Basically, they got a bunch of women that they deemed were ugly, yes, ugly, and they gave them extreme makeovers, including giving them plastic surgery. They then made them compete in a pageant with judges deciding who was the prettiest one overall, aka The Swan.
Team, Marsha came to us claiming that she wanted to be invisible.
I feel completely unbearably disgusted with myself.
It makes me feel really unfeminine to have to shave my face every single day.
This show was described as hurtful and repellent, and it was also called the most sadistic reality series of the decade, and I think looking back on it, it's hard to disagree with that.